Hey, what's up, my freaks and geeks? It's Messin, and today I am going to be recapping my first day event. So, just to get you in hook, line, and sinker, my day event, my friend almost sold her soul, but you will have to wait till the end to hear about that. So, with this day event, the PCs were actually outnumbered by NPCs. It was kind of awful. So there's about, I would say, 12, 13 PCs and about 17, 18 NPCs. So we weren't having a fun time. Everyone almost died. Literally, everyone almost died. But that comes later too. So our goal this time, we were not at Thrush Peak as usual, because usually we're up at Thrush Peak. We're up at a northern encampment, and there was a job going out for people to try and find this missing scout party. So there are these things in Euro that are magic ley lines. So the ley lines, with their magical abilities and everything, I'm pretty sure they represent different elements, but I'm not sure because all I saw was different colors and I didn't get explained very well. But so they're like concentrated magic, like this big thing of magic. And you know, like the asterisk star where it's like whoop, 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 like that kind of shape? That's what the ley lines were doing. So it's a bunch of different magic all concentrated into this one area. And so every time someone would go out there, they would report back something different. So like some people would see a giant lake, then people would see like an open field, a giant fort. Like it would change every single time. So one of the celestial towers, I believe, it was, sent out a giant scout party of about 40 to go investigate and bring back their findings, and everyone went missing. So they have hired us to try and find the missing scout party. We all kind of get talking and we head out. So apparently this area is crawling with dark fae. So in Euro, dark fae aren't like unseelie and seelie like normal fae where they're just kind of evil. Like, no, they're straight up will kill you. They possess someone in town who is currently running it. I don't know why they made that decision, but apparently after she got possessed, everyone was like, you know what, let's make her mayor! Because the countess was absent, so they're like, she looks like a good fit. They were wrong. But anyways, that's a different thing, which will come into play later. So we get to this area, and we have to, on our way there, we have to fight some, I believe it was ogres. It was some ogres and flame elementals. That was pretty easy. So between games, because this will kind of come important, it was really cold that day. And so it was like in the negatives for us. So like -1, -2, but like there was wind. So it's probably more like Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. Sorry, America. Catch up. But, so between mods, like each kind of fight, we would go back to our tavern because there was like a heater in there. It wasn't that warm, but it was warmer than being outside all day. So we would go back, warm up, come out. And so after that, we got to this like thick kind of bushled area, and it was nature-ish. That's what the wild elves were told. So they were told not to meld with nature because it would probably be pretty nasty. Got an itch. But so we go in, and there's these monsters. And so when we hear this bell ring, because they're all frozen, and then the bell rings, and they start moving. We're like, oh no! So we start attacking, and then the bell rings, and they freeze. And so we like move as fast as we can, the bell rings again, they start moving, we start attacking, but we're getting taken down. So eventually there are also clues scattered around, and so this one wild elf goes around and investigates all of them all. But eventually we run away because we're like, oh no, we're getting really hurt, And we back away so the monsters lose interest in us. And they're trying to think of a solution. They're like, oh, like, what are these things? Like, what's going on? And then when the GM tells this guy, I know him as, his character is Moon Moon, because that's what our kind of like appointed leader was calling him. So she goes, oh, they remind you of the color red and green. And he goes, oh, it's the red light, green light monsters. And I was like, oh, yeah. Me and my friends are like, what? And we find out that there are apparently these monsters. When they start moving, we freeze. When they freeze, we can move. So there are 3 different paths. There is one path with a bunch of upturned mud and like a clear kind of like brushed out area that people had made. A bunch of broken alchemy like tubes and like stuff and like globes. And then there are 3 figures, like dark cloak figures, watching us from like the bushes. So our like leader, her name Mel Mel, she's like, okay, we're going down the scary spooky path with the figures watching us. And so we're all like, okay. And so we go to take our break, and on walk back she goes, okay, just to let you guys know, this is a total suicide run. And we're like, what? And she's like, oh yeah, so the girl I was talking about who is like mayor and got possessed by a dark fae, this is where she got possessed by a dark fae, and her name is Natsumi, and she's a really good friend of Mel Mel's. So Mel Mel is going to investigate and try and figure out what's going on with the dark fae and everything. And so she warns us, hey, this is probably a suicide run. It's for Mel Mel. She's not very responsible. I don't know why you guys put her in charge, but this is definitely not the way to go. And the wild elf who had found the clues kind of piped up and said, yeah, it's probably the path with like the upturned mud. And it's like, okay, let's put it to a vote. Do we want to go the right way or the suicide run way? And of course everyone goes, oh, hell no, to the suicide run. And we decide to, I'm just gonna turn my light off. Sorry. And so we decide to go down the place with the upturned mud. There we go. Sorry, I'm finicking with my camera a bit. So we go down the path with the upturned mud, and we come across some shadowy figures, I believe. Give me one hot minute. There's a bunch of crinkling. I'm really sorry. I just did, you probably saw the video already. My book is buried. So this book, okay, I got it all up. I write down most of the event. I forgot to write the second half of the event down, but it's a way of me to kind of keep track in game. What the fuck's going on? So, boop boop bop bop, bop bop bop. I'm just trying to read this as fast as we can. Okay, so it wasn't shadowy figures. We fought a bunch of shadowy figures. I was right. We found these barbarians from up north, and I found out apparently that high elves and barbarians, like, that are like the ones up north, are at war right now, but they were really mean to us and mocking us, and we're like, can we just get through? And they decided to walk away. So we hunted them down. We also got very, very lost. And we went off the total wrong path, but we killed them, got some stuff, and then they found these weird, like, clear blue and white gems. So once we get off that path, we come back, warm up, and then we have 2 different paths to go down. We can go, they called them, it was either the gasser path or the suicide run. They're called gassers because they deal poison damage, which is a lot worse because you can't put up like a poison resist shield, unlike a magic shield, or a lot of species don't have poison resist. Magic resist is a lot more common, so it's kind of a pain in the butt to deal with. So we decided to go down the alchemy path, and down that path, I'm reading again, we found some goblins. I had a pretty great conversation with one. I talked one out of fighting me. The other ones weren't having it though, because Hazel's kind of philosophy is all, if it won't kill you, don't kill it. But they wanted to kill us, she tried to talk them out of it, but they weren't having it. And at the same time, apparently we were hurting cow scavengers. I wasn't really a part of it. All I know is I saw people chasing them down because we went in there because this cow scavenger came in. It was like, my family's in there, and I wasn't really paying attention because I was dealing with goblins. But apparently one got killed because they couldn't hurt it. I don't really know. Honestly, I wasn't paying attention to that adventure. We find after we hurt them all up, get everything with that done, we find this path with more broken globes and everything, and it was clearly just trekked through, they went off in a hurry. So we go down that path, and we come across some shadowy soldiers and archers, and 3 of the 3 leaders of the different groups of the scavenger parties. So our goal is that it's a slim tunnel in the forest, and we have to get to them. But there's archers and everything. So we get to them, we kind of fend them off, kill everything, and then we head back. And finally, it is time for the suicide run. So the suicide run, we end up getting into this marshy area. And so it's like around up to our knees, so we are slowed. That means we can't run, which is kind of sucky. And the marsh was described as like the beginning of, the marsh in the Lord of the Rings. That kind of marsh. And there were like dead bodies similar to the ones in the water, but they actually weren't dead, apparently. They were less decaying and stuff. I don't really know. But we fought those. We got backed up to like this lake behind us. And crows would also burst out of their chest, which I wasn't here for. And I actually got shamed during this fight because one of the people we rescued said he needed like warriors up front. So I'm like, I'll go. I have like 48 bodies, so I'm pretty good in that department. I do not hit hard. I hit like a baby kitten. I go up and I'm like, 2 silver, and he goes, okay, get in the back. And I'm like, I'm trying my best, I'm sorry. And I don't know why, but like I felt like out of character. He was being like, oh, you don't do shit. But I knew that he didn't mean that out of character. But like, I was trying my best. So after we deal with that, we get to the lake. And this is where my friend sells her soul. So the gems we had picked up earlier, there's a ferryman, and the ferryman says they need to give us some currency. And so we pulled the gems, and of course with some fae stuff, they want us to tell them what like it would be and everything. And so me and my friend Lauren get put together, and then my friend Will is behind us, and this girl named Lady Talia. So we're like the second last people to go. It's like Lady Talia and Will, and then everyone's over. So we get on the ferry, give them our currency, and then the ferryman asks us, would you like to try and wear the boat? And I go to my friend Lauren, I'm like, hey, do you want to try? Like, you can go ahead, like, go on. And she's like, yeah, sure, it'd be my honor. And then I realized we were in fucked up Feyland. We're in fucked up fairyland with dark fae, and I realized this is probably a dark fairy, and this is some fae shit and some fae contract. I was like, shit! And I just yelled, wait! And in like, kind of one of those slow motions, when you're like, no, in like the movies, and then they get shot, and they're like, yeah, that's basically what went down, because I went, wait, just as she grabbed the oar, and I hear it's being spiritually bind. We're in the middle of this, like, Lady Talia and Will are on one side. On the other side is this giant fight, and we just lost one of our healers, and we didn't have a lot of healers. So I was just like, oh no, and I'm like freaking out. I'm like, guys, we have a problem. And like, what's going on? I'm like, she's being spiritually bound to the cloak. And they're like, did you agree to oar? And I'm like, yes. And they're like, and then Lady Talia yells to us, don't do more work than you're supposed to. So my friend Lauren is now bound to this. This means she cannot get off the boat. She is only meant to oar, and the fairy person is just like, oh, thanks so much for getting me off the boat. I'll do absolutely nothing to help you guys in the fight. And I was just like, so I get off the boat, and I tell them what's going on, and they're like, no, are you dumb? Like, have you not heard this story? And I'm just like, I'm really sorry, because of all the breaks, I completely forgot we were in Fairyland. If I knew we were in Fairyland, I would have not let my friend do that. I would have been like, nope, you're not touching her, stay back. But because I completely forgot due to all the breaks that we were in, like, Fairyland, I let her go ahead and do it, which was, awful choice. So we look back, because we're trying to figure out what to do now that my friend is stuck on this boat. And, Lady Talia decides to trade places with my friend. And her husband, because she has an in-game husband, and I believe it's also a real-life husband, but I'm not too sure on that, goes, she is not. And we're like, what? He's like, she's getting on the boat. And he's like, are you serious? And so we look back, and Lady Talia is now rowing the boat. So, not to be mean or anything, she's way more powerful than, like, all three of my group combined. And so we're flipping our shit because of the fact we just lost someone really powerful. Because as mean as it sounds, I wouldn't think I would mind too much if my friend Lauren's stuck on the boat. It would be really sucky for her because, she loses out on the experience. But, like, from, like, a game kind of plan kind of standpoint, we just lost a really powerful healer. So I'm losing it. I'm really losing it. And, so she stays on the boat, and in front of us, we're fighting these giant eels. We get past them, and we get to, like, our tavern, which is now apparently, like, this tree cave thing. It's all overgrown into making it a tree. We're getting our butts kicked by these eels, like, absolutely destroyed. And there's also a hippocampus there, too, which is also, like, it's not bugging us, but the eels are wrecking us. And then I realize, as we drop one by one, everyone's dead. And I'm like, oh great, we failed. We're all gonna have to resurrect. This is gonna really suck. So I'm like waiting for all of us to finish our like death count and everything and our bleed out count. And I realized Lady Talia is still alive. She had switched places with someone else, and apparently the healers have been secretly healing people. I didn't even notice because we were trying to play dead. And she tries to life spell me. The first time she misses, I'm like, what if that's her last life? I'm done. I am dead. But she hits me with a life spell, so we're trying to figure out what to do. We're trying to figure out how to ambush. And Moon, the kind of wild elf from earlier, dies. He dissipates into ashes, which means he has to resurrect. Luckily, Lady Talia is a Listani, which gives her a skill that she can resurrect people on the battlefield. So he gets his stuff. And the fairy that we had freed from the boat goes over and like tames the hippocampus or something. We're like, is that yours? And I'm like, no, go kill it. So we all just start wailing on it. Pardon me. It's really dry in my room. But so it eats Mau, but we get it out, and now it's onto the final area. We all heal up, and I look back now and I realize that I actually used the life spell wrong, because the life spell is only supposed to bring you up to 1 HP. But I acted like I was back at full health. So, whoops! But, so we go inside, and in the cave there's like shadowy figures, but they take on our most hated enemies. So I was trying to figure out what mine was, and at first I was like, disease, and someone gave me like a disease, like, that's a stupid one, and I was just like, okay, it's not disease, and I'm trying to figure it out. And I kind of realized that Hazel sort of hates her parents, and also kind of hates Elvenkind. She kind of hates high elves and their culture, so she was fighting her parents. That's an awkward encounter. I didn't really kill anything, like, at all that event. I barely did anything, honestly, I just ran. But, eventually we get through the shadowy figures and everything, and there's humans inside, and we grab this magical lantern, and they bring it over to the humans, and they get back up, and we all get out. And so that is where the mod ends. We all escaped with everything, and I believe the humans, we saved 31 out of the 40, which is really good. We all got paid a pretty decent amount, especially because it was individually, and usually it's in groups, I believe. So we got a good payout from it. Like, I'm not mad at it at all. So I'm really excited for the next event, because I made a couple friends. I made kind of some progress on Hazel's storyline, because in between one of the in-game action breaks, I started going around asking if anyone knew anything for my character's kind of life goal, which is to find a cure for her sister. And this one girl said, oh yeah, I'll go take a look at her when I get some time. So that's really good. Also, my friend Lauren made some progress on hers, and we had a panic because it was Lady Talia, and she said, oh, I'll check if I can get rid of the curse. And we're all like, we look at each other and we're like, is your whole life goal for your character about to like disappear? And luckily she went, oh no, there's nothing. Do you have like anything on it? And she pulled out the wording. She was like, oh yeah, that's a really old Listani curse. Like, your mama got cursed bad. So I'm really happy that we made such progress. And I'll also be doing an introduction video to Hazel, so you guys can get to know her. Hopefully I'll do it before the next event, so you guys can really get to know her and her backstory and her motivations and everything. Because, and I promise I'll get some footage, because I didn't get any footage for this, sadly, except on Twitter, where, I was just listening in the morning. We listened to a song of a translated lady, like, one of those, like, Google translators, but it was, like, Japanese, and it was just saying, I like hot dogs over and over. So that was fun. Also, my swords also broke on me. It wasn't the ones I showed you guys. Those ones were completely fine. My own swords, I cut because I put double-sided tape on the bottom, and I have like the hilt things I showed you guys in the sword making video, and I cut at the back because I couldn't get it up, and I didn't tape it well, so it just kept flying off multiple times. And when I ate it in a pothole, because I actually accidentally fell into a pothole, one of the ends kept flying off, and one of the NPCs took us, like, I'll give it to you at the end of the mod. So half the event, I had a dangerous end of my sword sticking out because I didn't have the bottom to it. That was an adventure. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!